Coming to your professional work, right?
Okay.
So straight from CA, you joined, I think, Ultratech, Aditya Birla Group,
yeah.
and as a manager or something.
Yeah.
You were there. And then you joined the VC, right?
Correct.
So run us through that journey. How did that work? You've been, I think, professionally, your professional career is 5-6 years now.
Correct, that's right.
So run us through what have you gone through and what have been your experiences at the Aditya Birla Group as, I think you were in Ultratech or something.
I can take you through the journey.
Yeah, please.
So basically, 2018 when I cleared CA, so Aditya Birla has these finance leadership programs for CA rank holders. So got selected into that, and I also did not know what what all opportunities would come my way. So just thought let's explore, and have been grateful for that so far. So the first year is you basically get 3 stints of 4 months each into different group companies.
Oh, wow.
And all of them are totally different domains. So like my first stint was with an HR tech company, which was a pricing strategy stint. Then my second stint was in the US, which was subsidiary of Hindalco, which was again onto financial reporting and
so that was proper physically
finance.
going to US for
Yes.
that. Okay.
So that gave great cultural exposure as well. Then my third stint was back in Mumbai, the head office with the corporate finance group, which was into hardcore mergers, acquisitions, and investor relations and all of that. Then post that, we get like placed on a role for 2 years. So I was with Ultratech in the CFO's office. So where I looked at investor relations, corporate restructuring, financial planning analysis, and more related to what a CA would usually do in the industry side. And post that, then the venture capital fund was just being set up actually.
Okay.
So it's directly a product of the founders. So they were just building their team and they were just ideating on how to build a fund. And that's when fortunately I got reached out and was one of the first hires of the fund and have been with the fund since then. It's been a great journey throughout. But that's how the professional journey looked like.
What is your day-to-day activity as a VC? For many of the viewers who would not know, and I think different VCs of course have different probably
Correct,
activities and stuff like that. But what do you do on a day-to-day basis? How does your operational task look like?
Right. So I would say it's totally unstructured. Like if I say today your day looks like that, might not look like that tomorrow. But broadly, since our objective is talking to as many founders as possible. So let's say you would schedule 3-4 calls during a day. So you would talk to founders from different fields, different segments, meet them virtually or in person, how it's feasible. And once you've spoken to them, if something is of your interest and fits your thesis, you get the data from them. So you do an evaluation of the data, full number crunching, where they are, understand the margins, business profile, and simultaneously also building a thesis for a particular sector. So if I'm tracking a particular sector, let's say consumer, I will build different segments where we can probably reach out to companies. So that's another thesis building which goes on parallelly. Then also talking to a lot of your investment bankers, fellow VC analysts, associates, understanding if they are looking at a particular segment, a particular company, getting insights on deals.
Okay, here I'll just want to pause
Sure, please.
So that before you go ahead, I can clarify. And for probably the viewers also, this would be a little bit new. So when you say making thesis, what does it mean? मतलब उसमें आप क्या करते हो?
Correct. So let's say if I look at consumer brands as a sector.
Okay.
So consumer brands could have various subsectors. They could have, let's say, beauty and personal care, which are cosmetic products.
Okay. Give us an example. So right now, I think you said you guys invested into Mokobara. Sorry, the luggage, travel luggage startup. So on that perspective, give us an example how your thesis, that part looks like. What did you do for that Mokobara in terms of the thesis when you were studying?
Got it. So in terms of that, I think I would say the thesis would be divided into 4-5 subparts.
Okay.
The first is an industry level understanding. So understanding how big the luggage industry is in India, and since that's in the higher price category, so how many people in India would actually purchase a slightly higher price luggage, the likes of Samsonite and all of that. So understanding how big that market can be. Then second is understanding who are the competitors in that segment.
Okay.
So the existing competition, what price points are they selling at? Are they earlier competition? And how scaled have they, what scale have they reached to? So these are the 2 important aspects from an industry aspect. Then if you go deeper on the business profile, so business profile would be understanding the financial performance of the company, understanding the business, which means the founder's background, their pedigree in running the business, the qualitative aspects of the business, how they plan to execute it, the designing, etc. And the most important thing is a risk return analysis. If you invest today and if you're exiting after a number of years, would you get the return that you're expecting, or some estimated return that you can get at that point in time. So these are 4 or 5 things that we looked at, and once we got conviction all of that is then we went ahead with and invested in Mokobara.
What is the average return that you all look at, and over what period of years? Just you guys as a fund.
Right. So obviously it would vary, but like we look at say 15 to 20% return over 4 to 5 years.
IRR of 15 to 20%. Okay. And this is across sectors 15 to 20%?
Yeah, this is from a fund perspective.
From a fund perspective, that is what the IRR is.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, now go ahead. You were explaining about the thesis, and then the next step, what do you do?
Yeah, so this is basically a thesis building part of it.
Got it.
So as a part of my work, you mean what I do?
Yeah.
Right. So talking to a lot of investment bankers, understanding, of course, talking to you as well. I think that's how we also met. So yes, understanding, what kind of opportunities you can bring, and speaking to fellow people in the VC ecosystem, and then if you like something, taking up a deal like how we saw Mokobara, and taking a deep dive and taking it to the investment committee for a final approval.
So you guys also speak internally in the VC ecosystem. Let's say you got this Mokobara.
Right.
So if there is some other VC who has invested in a luggage travel startup, you'll happen to speak to them, or
yes,
does it become competitive or something like that? Or
no, we do happen to speak to them. So we might speak to them more from a luggage industry perspective. What are insights on the space, without giving names of the company. So we would try to gather insights on the space and the market.
Okay.
So that's how we would approach
But
it.
that happens basically.
Definitely.
To get
I think it's more
views.
like a must before any opportunity. So
okay.
Yeah.
And if you all are to do, I'm sure you all would be doing some background check on the company also, on the startup.
Absolutely, yes.
So how do you all do that? Like, do you all speak with creditors, daters, or like what?
So in that case, we usually have big fours or some agencies who would do a due diligence on it. So financial due diligence is done by some big four, so they take care of the numbers part. Then we also have someone to do the legal due diligence. So all the compliances and rules, regulations are taken care of in that. Apart from that, we also do our own commercial due diligence, which is like talking to customers. And if there are some, let's say, major, B2B companies that they're dealing with, so or any major item we see on their P&L which needs attention, and we dig deeper and then understand the why and what about it, and speak to the person if needed. But that's what we do from our end.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Understood. I think that breaks down what you are doing as a VC, and probably what other VCs would also be doing on a day-to-day.
I think
little bit
the
variation.
Approach would remain the same. Yes.
Little bit variation, but the tasks would more or less remain the same. Talking to founders.
Correct. The level of depth I think each VC would go into would vary, but more or less the structure would remain the same.